I think the problem is that the white power structure and the WNBA has an agenda to make Caitlin Clark the athletic face of the league.
So Caitlin Clark is now playing in the WNBA.
Yeah.
She's finished at Iowa, and she's a star. She's huge. She's the biggest star of anybody.
She is the Michael Jordan of female basketball. Anyone who has anything to do with that league should be bowing at the altar of this woman.
Do you know that Christian Laettner also was chosen ahead of Shaquille O'Neal?
Shaquille O'Neal is the best pure physical talent in America.
Nobody can dominate a court the way Shaquille O'Neal can.
And Alonzo Mourning. You know why? He was a two-time national champion. He was a Wooden Award winner.
Better shooting range.
There's the pass to Laettner. Puts it up.
Yes! And he was white.
And so let's go ahead and dive right in. As everybody knows by now, Caitlin Clark has been left off Team USA. And
the idiocy of Team USA women's basketball. How dare you make this decision? It's stupid.
I don't see the circus and the chaos that a Caitlin Clark would bring to Team USA being worth it. Like I said, it's not that she's not talented enough. She's got all the talent in the world. And like I said, one day she could very well end up being the best player in the WNBA. Just based on her offensive alone, she may be able to overcome it with just superior offense. She may be a Stephen Curry out there. Who knows? But as of right now, she's too much of a liability on defense. There's a reason they have a losing record. There's a reason they're 2-9, I believe. Having 2 number 1 overall picks. And only one of those players is a complete player. And only one of those players is strong enough to deal with the physicality of the WNBA, to be honest. And so if Caitlin Clark is struggling to deal with the physicality in the WNBA, what makes you think that she's going to be able to deal with it on the Olympic level, on the world level? And I can guarantee you none of those girls are going to be taking it easy on Caitlin Clark just because she's Iowa Caitlin Clark, America's sweetheart. They could give a damn. Everybody out there is trying to win a gold.
Okay? The point is this. Those rosters, right? Those players were on there. Do you know that Christian Laettner also was chosen ahead of Shaquille O'Neal and Alonzo Mourning? You know why? He was a 2-time national champion. He was a Wooden Award winner. And he was white. And he had his own cachet. He brought it to the table. He was a big-time collegiate player who was white and busting people's you-know-what. They couldn't miss. And they didn't need him. You had Jordan. You had Magic. You had everybody. And you still picked that dude. Why? It wasn't because of basketball, even though he had the basketball credentials. It was because of something else. And they didn't need DePaul. But the WNBA does.
And so that's an interesting point for Stephen A. Smith to bring up. Because I remember Christian Laettner. I remember Christian Laettner very well. I'm old enough to remember him hitting that shot versus Kentucky. I'm old enough to remember him winning a national championship and then finding himself on the 1992 Dream Team. And it was a controversial pick then to have Christian Laettner be on the 1992 Dream Team over Shaquille O'Neal. Everybody wanted to see Shaq. Shaq was box office at the time. If there was a Caitlin Clark comparison, that would have been Shaq. Somebody that didn't win anything in college, but brought a lot of excitement. And everybody was clamoring to see this 7'2", 7'1", nimble athlete of a player in Shaquille O'Neal play on that 1992 Dream Team side by side with Patrick Ewing and David Robinson. But we didn't get it. They gave us a Christian Laettner. Because Christian Laettner, although he wasn't as talented as a Shaquille O'Neal or an Alonzo Mourning, he was a well-rounded player. He was a polished 4-year college player that was good on offense and good on defense. Just a solid player, nothing more, nothing less. And so he was going to be able to fit in if and when he was needed. Somebody they didn't even need to win the game. And the reason why they did it? Because that's what they wanted to do. It's not necessarily what the people wanted to see. It wasn't necessarily organic Because like I said, Shaq was box office. Shaq was already filming movies at this point. Everybody wanted to see Shaq. And so they did what they wanted to do. And it had nothing to do with Christian Laettner being box office. And Dr. Umar actually had a chance to chime in on the conversation the other day, and he said something pretty interesting as well. Go ahead and take a listen.
And so the problem, as I see it, is the WNBA wants to pass off responsibility for Caitlin Clark not being the instant athletic phenom they want her to be. They want to pass off that responsibility onto the black women of the WNBA, and it appears that they're trying to push a narrative that says Caitlin Clark isn't able to maximize her talents on the court because she's being bullied by these much larger black women. And that simply isn't true. Basketball is a competitive sport. You play to compete. That is the nature of athletics. So shaming and blaming black women for competing against Caitlin Clark when you all took it upon yourselves to exaggerate her skill set simply isn't fair.
And so absolutely, I agree 100%. It's not fair to the players, and then most of all, it's not fair to Caitlin Clark. Everybody's still giving her a pass based on what she did in Iowa. And she's had 1 or 2 games in the WNBA where she's shown that she belongs in the WNBA. And then on top of that, she leads the league in turnovers. And then on top of that, she's one of the worst shooters in the entire WNBA. So what are we even talking about? Her play alone doesn't warrant her, like I said, being anywhere close to an Olympic roster. Everybody's still giving her a pass based on what she did in Iowa. And so let's say they put Caitlin Clark on the team. You can't hide a Caitlin Clark on a Team USA like they did to Christian Laettner. That was easy to do to Christian Laettner. Like I said, Christian Laettner wasn't coming in with that kind of star power. Nobody was clamoring to see a Christian Laettner. And then on top of that, you had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, David Robinson, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Chris Mullin. And so nobody was clamoring for a Christian Laettner. Now, Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, we've seen what the Caitlin Clark fanatics look like when it comes to her playing within the WNBA. And when she gets benched for a couple of minutes, we've seen what that looks like. Now, imagine that on the world stage, at the Olympic stage, with these WNBA women having to substitute in for a Caitlin Clark who can't play defense. And now everybody on Team USA has to play twice as hard to cover for her mistakes on defense, to cover for her inability to guard anybody on the perimeter. And then if you don't play her, everybody's hating on Caitlin Clark. Nobody wants her to play. These nappy-headed you-know-what don't want to see Caitlin Clark win. And so you're danged if you do and danged if you don't. And so I think that's the downside of a Caitlin Clark being on this Team USA, and that's why they didn't put her on this roster. It's not that she's not talented enough. She's got the talent, but it's just not the right fit, and it's based on her defense. Just from a basketball standpoint, I know the business side of it, everybody wants more eyes on Team USA, women's basketball, but I could see it getting real messy for a lot of coaches and players if Caitlin Clark is allowed on Team USA roster. Now, in 4 years, if she's half the player that everybody says that she's gonna be, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it then. If she's shooting a decent percentage and she's still not that great on defense, it'll be worth it. But as of right now, she's not shooting well, she's not playing defense well, she turns the ball over, and so it doesn't make sense. It would be a nightmare for coaches. I could understand coaches not wanting her on that Team USA team. And so that's all I had on this one. Make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button for me. And if you're not new to the channel and you've been enjoying the content so far on this channel, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me as well. And as usual, peace and chaos.